Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test. Let me see if you all can hear me. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me or not. I'm gonna check here as well, just to see if I can hear myself. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, okay, 3. You can hear me. Awesome. Okay, we are on day 2. So for those who are not familiar with me, my name is Elizabeth, and I am a corporate lawyer and an employment lawyer. I'm someone who grew up in corporate America. I've spent almost 2 decades in corporate America, and that is a long time to spend in corporate America. I will say that. That is a long time to spend in corporate America. And the reason why I've spent that time in corporate America is because that's just the only thing that I knew. And a lot of people find themselves asking what's next in corporate America. If you see me playing in the background, this is me just setting up Instagram in corporate America. Okay, we're set up now. We are set up. This is done. Let's go live. Oh, I can't go live on Instagram. So be it. Okay. So for those who are not familiar with me, my name again is Elizabeth. I'm an individual that grew up in corporate America. And as somebody who grew up in corporate America, one of the things that I absolutely believe most people need support and information on is how to move in corporate America in a way that actually supports them. And the reason why I say that is because many individuals actually desire to grow their careers in corporate America. And many people are called to corporate America. Many people have talents that can be used in corporate America, and they don't want to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is desiring to start a business, to get an LLC gang. There was this time when the pandemic hit that everybody was saying, get you an LLC, get you an LLC. Not everybody wants to have an LLC, and that is okay. So for those individuals who are in corporate America, this is the channel for you. I'm very excited that you are joining me today because we are talking about a very interesting notion that is becoming even more popular nowadays. There's this notion, there are a couple of videos floating around on TikTok and a few on Instagram that quite specifically tells other individuals to just be fake in corporate. Be fake in corporate, survive corporate. And if you are fake, that is the best way for you to grow your career and for you to have peace. And I couldn't disagree more. The truth of the matter is that when you are in corporate America, there is an acquired taste for corporate America. Let's be clear. There's no shame in us saying that. There is an opportunity for us to recognize that corporate America is not what, number one, it used to be in the 70s and the 80s, and even in the 90s. Corporate America is not what it used to be. But that aside, even if it's not what it used to be, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go around being fake. And there's an interesting notion that if you are an individual who wants to survive corporate America, that it has to be either this or that. And that is just not true. If you believe that in order to survive corporate America, that you have to be fake, you are setting yourself up for a disaster. You are going to be busting at the seams. You are going to be experiencing a number of things that you want to escape, and you won't be able to because you've developed this fake persona. So because these videos are going viral, I decided, as someone who actually coaches individuals in the corporate space in the 9 to 5 and who has successfully climbed the corporate ladder in many ways, not being fake, being very honest, being sometimes a little too transparent, but being very honest. I am someone who loves to help people. And I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and address this and put this to bed. So number one, being fake in corporate America will cost you. And here's why. Here is why. Number one, you are maintaining a persona that you've taken from others. You are copying and pasting what you think will work and will support you in corporate America by virtue of you seeing others who have climbed the corporate ladder. There is a way for you to learn from the mistakes of others. There is a way for you to learn how to move by watching others. But if you take on somebody else's personality, you are going to be shooting yourself in the foot. You are going to be someone who is going to try to code switch or try to maintain this way of being and this way of moving. And the truth of the matter is that's just not, that's, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It only can last you for so long. You can only grow and go for so long with being fake. And there are certain communities, and for those of you who know, you know, if you know, you know, there are certain communities that being fake will cost you a lot. That's the same. It absolutely is the same within corporate America. So being fake in corporate America will cost you. It will cost you your mental peace. You're going to get home. You're going to be exhausted. People are going to look at you not knowing who they are, especially if you work remotely and they're listening to you talk and they're like, what was that voice, right? They're looking at you weirdly and oddly because you are walking around trying to make it seem as though this is just how I am, right? So news anchors, they have to have a certain voice. And a lot of people have taken a page from that book and said, you know what? News anchors have a certain persona. And because news anchors have a certain persona, I, within corporate America, will also have another persona, a persona that's completely different from the way I talk, completely different from the way I move, et cetera, et cetera. And that is just unwise. So by you maintaining a fake persona, you are not leaning into the emotional intelligence that you need. You are not allowing yourself to learn and grow in a way that will actually support you, your current self and your future self. And you are basically saying to yourself, being fake is going to serve me, and it will not. You are also quietly and quickly exhausting yourself. As I mentioned, you get home after being fake and you get home and you're just like, I don't even have it in me. Don't talk to me about work. Don't ask me how work was. I'm done communicating. Don't communicate with me. Don't ask me any questions. I need about 30 days before I can talk to you about anything else outside of TikTok, right? So that is what often happens to individuals because they are quietly and quickly exhausting themselves. Think about it. You are working a job. You don't have the opportunity. I have this heater on me again, you guys, and it's burning up my legs. Give me a second. Whoo-wee. That heater is something else. My goodness. Okay. So think about it like this. You are an individual who you work a job, you're decent at your job or you're good at your job, which is the reason why you were hired. And you find yourself maintaining a persona that's not natural to you. You don't feel good about it. It feels very awkward, feels very uncomfortable. And as a result of you maintaining your ability to do your job well and to maintain this fake persona, right? The fake persona is not just in a voice. The fake persona is going to have a certain way that they respond. A fake persona is going to have a certain prepared response, if you will. So because that individual, right, this fake persona that you've embodied has taken over the way that you respond, the way that you communicate, and the way that you move, it is also likely going to impact the way that you perform. Your productivity is not going to be what it needs to be because, again, you were hired for your brilliance. You were hired for the work that you can do. And if you can do work well, then so be it. Let that shine. But you are exhausting yourself and you are telling yourself that this is okay when you know it's not okay for you mentally, emotionally, and anything else in between. And also, when you take on a fake persona, you're not demonstrating your brilliance because, again, you are playing a role. When you play a role, you are playing safe. Can you imagine? I'm not a news anchor, but there's oh, what's her name? Is it Jeanette? She does a news anchor voice and she's married to a man by the name of Robert, I think, and he also is a news anchor, and they became very popular by using their news anchor voices with each other. and it's hilarious. But can you imagine if their relationship in real life was placated and communicated with not only the voice, but with also the way that the information is shared, right? Because news anchors have a certain way that they have to share news in order for it to be digestible to audiences abroad in their particular communities that they're broadcasting to. Imagine if you also took upon it yourself to have some sort of persona, and you maintain that persona not once, not twice, but thrice. You maintain that persona for such a long time that you don't even have the ability to communicate any brand new ideas, because the brand new ideas that you have may be in direct conflict and contradiction to what persona you've taken on, right? So if you've taken on a persona that doesn't actually allow your brilliance to shine, it doesn't allow you to communicate boldly, it doesn't allow you to communicate with your great accent, right? A lot of people in corporate America, here in corporate America, we don't want to communicate well. If we have an accent, or if we stumble across a couple of words, and we don't want to communicate at all, we rather be wallflowers instead of actually being able to say, yeah, I fumbled on some words, and that it is what it is. It is not demonstrative of my intelligence. So if you are constantly taking on a persona that is not authentic, okay, and we're going to address authentic behavior in a second, because a lot of people think it's either this or that. If you're taking on a persona that is not authentic, after a while, you start to experience burnout in a way that wants you to run out of corporate America and never go back. You start to experience communicating with individuals in a way that is not only just fake and phony, it actually doesn't provide any sort of impact whatsoever. You start to communicate in a way that doesn't actually further you as an individual. So, what I want you to do, instead of taking on a fake persona, instead of saying, this is the way that I'm going to cosplay across corporate America, instead of you doing that, what I want you to do is do this instead. Number one, I need you to recognize that your corporate space is not the home space. The reason why it's important for us to recognize that is because what often happens, this happens all the time, especially in here in America. For those of you who are watching this video or watching the replay, and you are a resident of the United States, you recognize that sometimes decorum is lacking. I had a very interesting conversation over the weekend with an individual who is not originally from the United States, but obviously we live here. And there was something that she said. She said, there is no real deference in the United States. And it's true. If you look at the way we talk to our politicians, talk about how we talk about our politicians, how we talk about leaders and corporations, how we talk about the notion, we don't have a deference. We don't have deference, right? We are not a monarchy. We don't recognize and realize that there's a certain way that you can move, and a certain way that you can be. We don't, and it's in everything that we do. And this is not to say that what we're doing is everything that we're doing is bad in the United States. There's some good to that. But the truth of the matter is that is demonstrated in everything. There are people who I don't know, they will go to church in jeans, whatever, right? And that's okay for some spaces, but not in all spaces. If you were to get invited to an opportunity to meet a celebrity, let's say, for example, a very well-known celebrity, would you show up in flip-flops and some cutoff shorts? Right? That is how we move in America. We move in America with many people saying, well, this is how I want to show up. This is how I want to do things. This is how I want to be. And the truth of the matter is that, number one, it's an error. If you have that mindset with everything, you are in error. And number two, it puts you in a position where you don't know how to be appropriate. You don't know how to ensure that, and this is a lesson that I've had to learn personally as well. I've had to learn this lesson, and I'm a whole lawyer, right? If I walk into a courtroom, I cannot talk to the lawyer like my opposing counsel. I cannot talk to opposing counsel like they are my client. I cannot talk to my client as if they are my best friend. There is a level of appropriateness that is required, right? So we have to make sure that we are appropriate. So instead of you being fake in corporate America, just be appropriate. Just recognize that your manager is not your therapist. Just recognize that HR has a very specific function, and that function isn't necessarily to coddle your feelings about a particular situation. Recognize that you are hired to do a certain job, and if you are not doing that job that you were hired for within corporate America, yes, you're going to be put on a performance improvement plan. That's just what it is. And there's even an article that's going viral right now that says Gen Z and companies are hiring and firing Gen Zs very fast. And the reason why that is happening is, unfortunately, for many Gen Zers, they've never learned how to be appropriate. They believe that they can, I don't want to say they as if it applies to everyone, but there is a notion. I've got some nieces and some nephews. I'm like, you thought that was okay? There are some notions within the Gen Z community that this is how I am, and you got to accept me for how I am and for what it is. And unfortunately, because of that mindset, they cannot keep a job. They can't keep a job. So instead of you being fake in corporate America, what you are going to do is, number one, you are going to be appropriate. You are going to make sure that you have a deep understanding of the space that you're in. You're going to make sure that you have a deep understanding of the company that you work for. If you work for a bank, a banking institution, you are likely in an organization that probably is a bit more conservative. If you are working for a social media organization and it's a large one, that social media organization is probably a little bit more casual, a little more liberal. Let me give you an example. I worked for an organization, and this organization is has many headquarters. Oh my goodness, it is snowing. You've got to be kidding me. I'm sorry for those of you who are watching this live or watching the replay. You've got to be kidding me. It is snowing. It was 60 degrees yesterday. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, let me stay focused. Be appropriate, right? So I worked for an organization, and within this organization, it was based in North Carolina. North Carolina is very much the South in the United States for those who are watching abroad, very much the South. And because it was in the South, it had a certain way that it moved, a way that it communicated, and it was a bit more old fashioned, is what I'll say. It was not just a bit; it was very old fashioned. That organization was so old fashioned. Oh my gosh, it was very old fashioned. I came from an organization that was also in tech. This was a tech organization. I came from an organization that was also in tech. And the organization that I went to, which was in tech, was very much your typical, everyone's in a regular t-shirt, everyone looks exhausted. Uh, Everyone's talking to each other like they know each other, like, they're playing basketball together. Very laid back, very difficult organization, very hard, but very laid back at the same time. So when I transitioned from that organization and I went to the other organization, I saw how buttoned up things were at the all hands, or the town hall, as it's called in many places. When I saw how detailed and intentional things were, how much prep was required by this organ. In my mind, it was very confusing because, again, I cut my tech teeth in an organization that was very laid back, very honest, very casual. You're going to get this information. We're going to tell you for what it is. And that's just what it is. So imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise that when it was time for me to do a presentation and they wanted to know what my talking points were, though I had talking points that were bullet points, they were shocked that I didn't have a whole script prepared. And I was like, well, why would I have a script prepared? I know what I want to say. Like, this is my department. I know what I want to say. It's my department, my team, and my strategy plan. Why would I need a full 3-page written script? Because the way they moved, because they moved in that way, and that's what was expected of their leaders, I had to quickly learn what was appropriate for this organization. In order for me to succeed and in order for me to excel in the work that I was tasked with, I had to understand what made sense for this organization. And that is the thing that many of people don't want to do. Many people don't want to do that. They want to come in, they want to put their feet up, they want to work a corporate job and work this corporate job as though they're in their living room. And that's just not the case. The truth of the matter is that there are ways to move that way, but being appropriate is going to save you. It's going to cost, it's not going to cost you anything to be appropriate. It's not going to cost you your peace, but being fake will cost you your peace. So that's the first thing. Number two, you want to make sure that you have a communications plan. You don't have to have something that's like written up and something that's extensive, right? But what you do need to have is an idea of how you are going to address moments of difficulty in the workplace. This is particularly the case if you are a leader. If you are a corporate leader, at minimum, you need to make sure that you have a corporate plan in place. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is making sure that if there are individuals on your team that you support, stakeholders that you support, individuals that you have to report to and provide reports to, you need to make sure that you have a communication plan in place so that you don't walk into a room and quote unquote be fake, which is now the trending topic. Rather than having that trending topic and being fake and agreeing with them, what you want to do is make sure that you have a deep understanding. If I'm asked questions about this in this manner, this is how I'm going to respond. If there's a way for me to quickly adjust and address this really awkward and uncomfortable issue, this is what I'm going to say. If I have a team member, especially for those of you who are managers, if I have a team member that is giving me some headaches, this is how I plan on addressing a better outcome for them and for myself as a leader, right? So you want to make sure that you have a communications plan, and that communication plan is only going to come out of number one, you having experience, number two, you being intentional, and number three, you making sure that you are highlighting what it is that you want and you don't want. Even if you don't put that in any sort of written communications plan, when you are clear as a leader, when you are clear as an employee, and when you are clear on how you want to move, your emotional intelligence, which we talked about yesterday, your emotional intelligence, your ability to ensure that you are managing yourself well, self-management and social management, your ability to lean into those two quadrants will continue to raise the bar for yourself over and over and over and over again. You doing it is going to support you doing it and doing it well. And number three, instead of you being fake in the corporate space, I need you to use wisdom. Okay, this is a little bit different from you just simply being appropriate and knowing the dichotomy of the various factors that you're dealing with within the corporate space. But I need you to use wisdom. When you use wisdom, you are not going to be the person that's going to be in the middle of gossip at work. Think about it. Why would you want to be in the middle of gossip anyway? You have a bunch of people talking about Sally did so and I can't believe this, and they're looking for ways to drag others to make themselves feel better. It's giving yuck. It's gross, right? We don't want to be individuals who are seen as the folks that are trapped and stuck in a certain emotional space and age. You don't want to look like you don't want to be a leader that looks like that acts like the 21-year-old that is getting ready to graduate from college. That's not the move. It's not going to work. 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 It's not going to work for you. So what you want to do is you want to move with wisdom. What does that look like? You moving with wisdom looks like you, number one, listening and using your ears in a way that will support you. When you listen well, people always divulge what they're thinking, how they're feeling. And when you're quiet in a room, I know many times people always say, well, it's always the extroverts that will win in the workspace. That is true. We as the extroverts, we do win in the workspace, and there's a reason why we win. But that aside, even if you find yourself not being able to be extroverted in that way, what I do need you to do is what I need you to do, besides for just trying to be an extrovert, is I need you to pause and I need you to listen. And when you pause and when you listen in a corporate space, it doesn't matter how big the room is. There could be 2 people, there could be 20 people, there could be 200. When you pause and you listen, you really start to pick up bits and pieces of information that will support you within a corporate space. Take that information and have integrity on how you move with the information. Don't manipulate, because when you manipulate, you put it out there, it's going to come back to you. Do not manipulate. But what you want to do instead is take a moment to ask yourself, I've just received this bit of information by simply being quiet in a room. What should I do with this information now that I have received it? What are the ways that I should move now that I have a deep understanding of whatever aspect that you have gained? Okay. Be better at asking questions. That's another way that you're going to move. So, number one, you're going to be a good listener in order for you to use wisdom. And this is not just within a corporate space, you can use this in your relationships, your personal relationships as well. Number one, you're going to be a better listener. And number two, you're going to ask better questions. When you ask better questions, you're going to get information that you probably would have not already received. Okay. So if you found this to be helpful, please give me a follow. Number one. Number two, what I want you to do is I want you to go to my website, which is just my name, www.elizabethguetti.com. Send me a note. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, you can sign up for my newsletter, or you just want to receive this information in written form. I'm happy to send it to you in written form. I have a growing list. Do not miss out on the fun. Lastly, check out my Substack. I have a Substack called Courage Incorporate. Courage Incorporate is an organization that I have launched. I launched it at the end of last year, which is designed very specifically to support underrepresented women in the workspace who desire to grow in corporate America. If you find that you are underrepresented in the corporate space and you desire to grow your career in corporate America, please give me a holler, because we are launching our next group in at the end of April, beginning of May. Okay, so time is ticking. I hope you appreciate it and love this information, and I hope this information helped you. If you found that this information was helpful for you, or it could be helpful for someone else who's in a corporate space who needs to get their lives all the way together, please share it. And I will catch you on tomorrow at 12 Eastern Standard Time, where we are going to talk about what good performance looks like in the corporate space. Thank you so very much. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye bye.